Hello friends, my name is Jake Montanez and this is Right Shift. Tomorrow starts Nanowrimo, which is National Novel Writing Month, and I'm super excited to do that because last year I wrote my first novel called Lightblessed, and I was able to put together 63,000 words in just under a month and was able to get a good head start on a novel that I've been thinking about writing for about a year or so now. It's up to 106,000 words, so it's a fairly decent sized novel, but it's still in the middle of revisions. And it's available on Royal Road if you wanted to take a look at it there. I'll leave a link in the comments down below. Lightblessed started out as a story kind of based off of one of my World of Warcraft characters. It was a light forged Draenei character who became a Death Knight and then ultimately joined the Night Fae Covenant during the Shadowlands campaign. It was one of my side characters, and I thought, at the very core of everything that makes that character a character, I could probably find a pretty decent story. So I sat down and kind of scripted out in my head about 3 tales worth of story that I wanted to focus on. The first one of them was what became Lightblessed, which is the eventual fall of this character that I named Trinea uh, to forces that were starting to corrupt her through her life. And at the end of that story, she ultimately meets the fate that turns her into my story's version of what a Death Knight would be. This next one that I'm going to be working on is called Oathbreaker, and it's going to be her ascendance as my story's version of a Death Knight. Now, I'm a seat of the pants kind of writer. I make this stuff up as I go, so I haven't really decided what to call a Death Knight, but it's going to be basically a Death Knight. If you know World of Warcraft, you'll know what the heritage and the backstory is of that, but because this isn't being written as a fan fiction type story, I'm just coming up with stuff on my own with that as like the core genesis of the idea. I usually go off in whatever random tangents that I'm trying to aim for. In the process of writing that first story, I realized that I'd kind of left one of the side characters, her best friend and companion, uh, in a very precarious position. And at the very end of the story, I created an epilogue where he just pops back up all of a sudden. And if you'd read through the story, you'd realize that that's not something that should have happened. And that got a bunch of different ideas going on in my head about how he could be at that point in time, where he was. So going into NaNoWriMo, I've got sort of a conundrum where I want to pursue the story of the sequel going forward, but at the same time, I need to kind of explore the backstory of what was going on with him. And I know that that would probably be better in the original novel as additional chapters, and I intend to probably incorporate those. So I'm kind of stuck with where I want to go with it. Do I continue to just move forward with the story using what I already have written, the unrevised version of it, to create a better, or to move forward with a sequel based off of that? Or do I go through my notes, decide, and kind of extrapolate where I'm going to be revising the original story to use that to inform this sequel idea? And being a seat of the pants guy, like I've already mentioned, I will probably do that starting game day. I'll look at what I've got and begin writing. This month is going to be a little bit different from how I approached it last year. Last year I was able to take a majority of the month off of work with vacation. I had to spend a bunch of vacation over the summer this year, so it's not really a viable option for me. And I'm not going to have the amount of time that I did. So reaching the goal of 50,000 words may not be as obtainable. My job costs me about 13 hours a day when I do work it, and I work about half the week. So 3 or 4 days of the week are just pretty much going to be written off as not being able to do much writing. So there is that, which means I'm going to have to double up on my days off to get my story worked on and moving in the direction that I want it to be. I'd like to hear from you, my viewers. What kind of writing competitions have you been in, and what kind of ideas have you used to provide you the impetus to continue with your stories? What kind of genres do you work in? Do you do fantasy? Do you do science fiction? Do you do westerns? Do you do, techno, punk, rock, something or other? I don't know. Other different genres. I only focus on science fiction and fantasy for the most part. And on my channel, I've put up a lot of different writing prompts that I've used from other books that I've purchased in the past, just to give myself a spark of an idea. And I find those are a really great way to get my creative talents going when I'm hitting a slump. And I'm just curious if anybody has found those useful. I do see a lot of people have looked at those, but I don't get any likes or comments or anything like that, so I don't know how well received those are. So if you do like those, please support the channel and click those like buttons, or at least drop me a comment or two to say, hey, these are some great ideas, and I'd like to see any sort of stories that you guys come up with. I'm going to be trying to update a few videos through the course of November. Obviously, the focus is going to be on actually writing the story, but I like to keep people updated with how that's going. Unlike last year, I'm also not going to be sharing this copy of it online. I wanted to try to keep some suspense for that when actually I release it as a novel myself, and hopefully be able to sell a little bit better that way. So if you're going to be following me on my journey, I would appreciate it, and thank you for your time. Have a great NaNoWriMo, and I hope you guys come out at the end of it with some sort of novel ready to publish. Thanks for watching.